Hi, I'm Barry Sterling Mitchell, and this is Ben and Barry on football. I produce the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings. To my co-host here is
My name's Ben Dickerson. I'm his best friend, fantasy geek, tremendous football fan, and I like hanging out with him, talking about these rankings. Hope you find them as interesting as I did.
Sterling Net Point Power Rankings. We'll use those as the basis for our discussion. But just to give you a quick idea of what we're going to go through today, first we're going to take a look at the top five in net points, points for, points against, and turnover margin. Because the points for and points against basically is what makes up net points, and turnovers, as we all know, is probably the most important other statistic. We have some other statistics you always want to take into account whenever you're looking at a game and trying to figure out who's going to win. Things like injuries, for example, something that's really having a big effect nowadays, and penalties.
Yeah,
We'll
probably a bigger effect than we would like to see.
No, probably. We'll actually talk about it. After we do the top five, then we're going to talk about matchups for the upcoming week 6. We've got some fantastic matchups on the way. We'll take a look at our social media before we sign off. Ben has a special report on quarterbacks, first-year quarterbacks, as a matter of fact, that he's going to talk about. And we have our always infamous rants that we'll finish up with. So, Ben, let's get ready to get started talking about the top five here. And then I'll pull that up on our social media. That wasn't the right one. You did that before, didn't you? Yeah, sure did. Let's stop this. And let's try this one more time. We're going to share the screen. Choose the right one this time. There we go. Yeah, that's it. So, we're at the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings page. And we're going to take a look at Sterling Net Point Power Rankings. This is just the total graph. You can always come to the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings on Facebook, and you'll be able to see this information. This is the graph that I do every week just to show you. And one of the things that we found amazing about the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings is you always know that about half the league is in the negative at some particular point. But we want to talk about these top five guys. So let's move over to those guys and see what they look like. Second, here we go. Man. So, net points, Benny. In first place, we have, let's start with number 5.
Let's go 5 and work our way up.
In fifth place, New Orleans Saints with 40 net points. Fourth place, we have the Chicago Bears with 46 net points, tied with third place, Kansas City Chiefs. And again, third versus fourth is somewhat arbitrary. They both have the same number of points. The Baltimore Ravens are still living off of that big win first week against the Bills, who they've been up, they've been down.
Yeah, the Bills have been all over the place, but I think Baltimore did benefit from the first big win.
Oh, they took a lot of, yeah.
But since then, they have still been pretty balanced.
And then in first place, nobody's surprised about this one. We have our Los Angeles Rams with 75 net points. Wow. So as you can see, the Los Angeles Rams really look strong. I mean, yes. That means they're putting up points and they're stopping other teams from putting up points, except for last week.
Yeah, well, hey, it's the NFL. That's what makes it great. I would say that of these top 5, New Orleans, Kansas City are both benefactors of their offenses, no doubt about that. Chicago, obviously, is a benefactor of their defense, as well as probably the Ravens, even though they're a little bit more balanced in offense and defense. And, of course, the Los Angeles Rams are just pretty much head and shoulders above everybody. They're playing the best on both sides of the ball. Scoring a lot of points, not giving up a lot of points, which puts them at a 75 to 55 advantage over the next highest team.
No doubt about it. No doubt. That's a 20-point advantage early in the season. Let's move down to points for.
Okay, and this is exactly what I just said. So here we go.
Well, anyway, your top five, your Steelers in the top five. They're number 5 this week. So that offense is getting going here with the Steelers, with 143 points scored so far. The Cincinnati Bengals, your favorite whipping boy, hanging in there.
Yeah,
at
well,
number 4.
really, it's the coach that's my favorite whipping boy, but that's another story.
That's a whole nother
I think
story.
you just give me my rant again.
Yeah. So in third place in scoring, we have 173 points put up by the LA Rams. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So they know how to score, no doubt about it. Speaking of knowing how to score, Kansas City Chiefs, rolling with Mahomes. Oh, yeah. That was corny, but we got it off the TV. Anyway, and the New Orleans Saints. I mean, if you're going to be number 1 in passing yardage, why not be number 1 in scoring also? Oh, man. Congratulations to Drew Brees. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy. Putting up the most passing yards in NFL history, displacing Peyton Manning of all people.
Right, in less time, too.
In less time. As a matter of fact, I when we take a look at the social media, I did put up a video of the Drew Brees workout.
Oh, you found it? Okay.
I found it.
Okay.
Yeah, he told me about the Drew Brees workout, and
That's
I said,
right.
I got to go take a look and see what Drew Brees is doing,
Right.
and share this with our football fans. So it is
Okay.
on our Ben and Barry Facebook page. We'll see that a little bit later. Next up, we have points against. So, 5th place, we have the Washington Redskins. Now, the Washington Redskins got handed by the Saints, but they've done so well so far at this point. They're still in the top 5 in terms of the numbers of points that they've actually given up.
It almost feels like it's not so much that the Redskins are stopping teams. It just seems like when teams play the Redskins, they just don't score a lot. I know that kind of makes sense and maybe doesn't make sense. It just seems like maybe teams don't have their best games against the Skins. Obviously, it's something that they're doing, but they don't seem to really be doing anything special. Hard to explain. So I don't want to make it seem like I don't think they have a good defense and they don't belong there. Obviously, if they've only given up 87 points, that means something.
Yeah.
It's just kind of weird when you watch the games. I have to go back and look at their actual schedule, who they played so far, and see if I can figure that out.
Well, when you're talking about defensive giants so far this year, I mean, you don't normally think about the Redskins.
No, not at all. That's what I mean.
And you start to look at some of the other teams that are on this list. Number 4, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, we kind of all expected them to be in the top 2.
We expected them to be in the top 2 or 3 from day 1 all the way through, and they've somewhat struggled.
Well, especially against Kansas City. Kansas City, scored on them, not at will, but, and they might have actually shown the league, I think, a little bit about how to maybe temper Kansas City a little bit. We're going to see, but we're also going into the cold part of the season, and I had that question earlier. Are they going to be able to maintain that torrid scoring pace?
It's going to be interesting because it gets cold there. It gets very windy there.
Yeah. The Tennessee Titans, who got past the Eagles in a serious battle down to the wire, as a matter of fact.
And went down to the wire because they were able to control the offense. Obviously, the Eagles' offense is missing some starters, not clicking on all cylinders, and Wentz just came back. But the Titans have a good, solid defense. They played them well. Played them hard. They played pretty well.
And it went all the way down. Again, the Ravens, in points against, still living off to some degree the Buffalo Bills win, because the Buffalo Bills only put up 3. So that really kept the scoring down. But the Ravens are, they're playing hard. They're playing real hard.
Yeah, they got off to the good start, but nobody's really scoring big on.
No, nobody's scoring big. And we will put an asterisk on this because I do believe they had a bye week.
Yeah, for this, we had to put a little asterisk because the Bears did have a bye this past.
With 65 points. Usually what happens, I will take a look at number 6. And for number 6, we have the Carolina Panthers who have only given up 91 points. So they're actually doing pretty well.
Yeah, they had a little battle there with those old New York Giants, though. That one came down to the wire too.
We'll talk about
like a miracle 63.
Giants.
Dude, it took a miracle 63-yard field goal to beat them. That don't happen every weekend.
Yes, it did.
But also credit to the Chicago Bears. Put an asterisk beside the defense because they didn't give up any points because they want to buy. However, they are playing so well that they still keep their net point rank in the top five. So they didn't get to score against anybody either, and they're still there.
And they're still there.
So that's a good thing.
That's a really good thing. And then the other important statistic is turnover margin. And in fifth place, those Carolina Panthers that we were just talking about. Fourth place, now the Kansas City Chiefs with +5. So that's fourth and fifth place +5 in the turnover margin. Now, one thing I got to give the announcer, who I forget who it was, who was calling the Chiefs game, because I watched that game from the beginning to end, and he kept saying, the thing about the Chiefs defense, that front line,
Right.
they can put pressure.
That's the strength. Yes.
And they did, and they really did. And Bortles,
yeah.
When you did your speech last week about Bortles and Mahomes, and you basically laid out
difference between the two and why I thought Kansas City would win the game.
And you know something? I see in the next year, maybe two, next year, like all new quarterbacks across the NFL. Because
when you say new, you mean
like
all these dudes that are rookie, first and second year guys, plus
the Bortles will be out, Cousins will be out.
Oh, you're saying they'll be gone? No. The next how many years?
2 to 3.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Maybe 5. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe 5. These guys are old.
Bortles playing like,
first of all, they're not old.
Hey, but they just, first of all, and we'll talk about this a little later, the new rules are favoring the mobile quarterback a little more than what it did in the past. People were afraid to have that mobile quarterback in the Kaepernick days when he's running around.
It's actually the opposite, though. You know why?
Why? The opposite. Give me the opposite.
Because once the mobile quarterback gets moving, they can hit him, fall on him, roll on him. They can dark on near do anything they want to him. The rules favor the pocket passer. They're the guy you got to be careful with. Can't hang too low behind his knees. Can't lead with your helmet in his back. Can't fall on him when you hit him. He's the one that's getting the advantages.
Makes sense what you're saying, and I do understand and I can appreciate what you're saying. And the reason that I'm saying mobile, think about Mahomes for a second.
Right.
I mean, guys, when they do get close to him, you know, they're like patty caking with the guy practically. They don't want to hurt him, because he is in the pocket. But then again, if you approach him cautiously,
that's when he gets out.
And he's mobile.
That's an advantage, yes.
That's what I'm talking about.
I understand that.
So this cautiousness thing, we'll talk a little bit more about that. But again, in second place, the Chicago Bears with +6 in the turnover margin, even with without that extra game. And my favorite and still number one in the turnover margin, that would be the Cleveland Browns, man. I'm just so proud of those guys. I mean, I'm a Niner fan, but again, when you see a team really beginning to turn around, right? And as I said earlier in the season, they're kind of like Jacksonville was at one point, a team that lost and lost and lost and lost.
And then picking up them high draft picks, picking up that young talent.
And the next thing you know, you got, you got a serious team.
Yep.
And so those are the top 5 in net points for, points against, and turnover margin as of week 5 in the NFL. So now we're going to move to the next section. Benny. Turnovers. The matchups. The matchups, man. We got some really good matchups as we move into week 6 in the NFL schedule. And we'll start off. Let's kick it off. Thursday night.
Tomorrow night.
Thursday night.
For B
Square, when the New York Football Giants meet the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. As you said before, Benny, this ain't the same Eagles team. It's kind of not the same Giants team. Once you got Beckham back,
Well, it's actually a better Giants team. Not that that's saying a whole lot.
Right, but it's not the same. I mean, and we have Saquon, the gift Barkley. He's correct. He's got 100 yards in every game so far.
As he should.
I mean, as he should. That the young man is just absolutely amazing. The net point bias, however, goes to the Philadelphia Eagles with 23 points. The turnover bias goes to the Giants with 1 point, giving the bias plus to the Eagles at 22 points.
22 points, huh?
22 points, and who's home here?
It's a pretty big bias.
Philadelphia.
No, Philadelphia's not.
Oh, it's at the Giants.
That's correct.
Oh, that's right. Yes, yes.
So they're coming up
They had
to
to
the
come up to the
Meadowlands.
Meadowlands and do their thing.
Right. Now,
Without, you know something, I always want to call him Franklin.
Jay Ajayi.
Jay Ajayi. Yeah, I've called him Franklin Ajayi
Right.
too often.
So everybody's saying that this is a must-win for both teams. I don't think it's a must-win for the Giants. Their season doesn't need to be saved. All they need to do is be better than they were last year, because everybody knows that their defense is only going to be so good until they're able to get their linebacking situation together and maybe a little something in the secondary. And everybody knows that their offense is only going to be so good, even with all the skilled players that they have, because they still have offensive line problems. However, the offensive line is better than it was. Might not be a lot better, but it's better than it was. However, Super Bowl champions, this is a must-win for them. It's a must-win for them. They're feeling kind of funny right now. As far as they were concerned, or maybe I should say as far as the fans were concerned, but I'm not going to say anything disparaging about the Eagles fans. But when Wentz came back, that was supposed to be the cure-all. And getting Jason Peters back and getting Hicks back, that was supposed to be gravy. Now, Alshon's back, had a couple big catches last week. What's the problem here?
Well, part of the problem is that defense, especially the line, isn't as effective as it was last year.
Why not?
You tell me. I mean, they're just not. They're not as effective. They're not putting as much pressure on the offense. They're just not. And then people are still asking, why did they trade Blunt? They had a three-headed monster last year. If Ajayi goes out and you still got Blunt, you still got Clement, you got Smallwood, and they have the new guy, the rookie. He's a pretty big guy. He might be a power.
Oh, Josh Adams?
Yeah, he's got nice size. So, people are asking why, but it is what it is. And so now it seems as if the Eagles are looking for a running back savior. First, there was cries for Le'Veon. Now they're even talking about Shady. I can't believe Shady would.
I think that, why would he?
Well, first of all, he's on the team. I don't know why they would let him go. Unless they just
You can't save him.
Well, that might be true, but, they still, their season ain't completely over either. I mean, the Eagles, you guys are what, 1-4?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the Eagles are 2-3. So, I mean, who's out of it, really? If you guys could be saved, perhaps they could be saved, too. Perhaps. Mayhaps.
Believe me, if they start winning, I'll be happy. But let's face it, people don't want to look at the simple facts. And one of the simple facts is last year, the Eagles got on a roll, and we've seen teams get on rolls, including the Giants, get on a roll and start winning at the right time. Things start to fall into place, and they go as far as they can go over in the Super Bowl. Well, they also had a last place schedule last year.
Yeah,
this year they have a first place schedule.
They have if it's a first place schedule.
They've got a Super Bowl winner schedule.
I think they had a slightly better, easier schedule than what I thought they were going to have.
Okay, but it's way closer.
But
it's way closer
it's tougher than it was last year.
Tough than it was last year.
I kept saying last year. So often they were playing against teams that were coming in with second string quarterbacks.
Weaknesses all over the
Real
place. And
weaknesses.
it was so notable. I remember you bringing it up. It was very notable. Oh, they're catching them at the right time. Oh, they're catching them at the right time. It was perfect. And people will go, well, they were missing people who were spending too much time on this game, bro. Let's move on. Oh, by the way, Eagles got the bias. I'm picking the Giants.
Okay. Tampa Bay, Atlanta. All right, now they're both 2-2. I'm sorry, no, they're not. Tampa Bay's 2-2. Atlanta's 1-4. What the heck is going on with Atlanta? Tampa Bay's got minus 27 net points. Atlanta has minus 30. So they're both in the negative. Tampa Bay is ranked 19th, and they put up 112 points. They're ranked 28th on defense. However, they've given up 139, and they're ranked 30th in turnover margin with minus 4.
Well, they're losing games because they can't turn the ball over and they can't stop anybody.
Well,
that pretty much
Tampa
tells the
Bay.
story.
Atlanta's coming in at 1-4. They're ranked 28th in net points with minus 30. However, they're ranked 8th in scoring. Okay, they put up 133 points.
Most of that was Magic.
No, I'm talking about Atlanta now.
Oh, you talking about Atlanta? Oh.
Atlanta.
Matt Ryan's having a career year, actually.
However, they're 32nd defensively, and they've given up 163 points, the most in the league. They're 7th in turnover margin. Not bad. They're
7th?
7.
So there's hope for them if they can continue to turn the ball over. But again, they can't stop
turning the
anybody.
ball over. Yeah, but you know the thing is, again, where wasn't it Atlanta that we watched 2 years ago?
Go all the way to
defense
crumble.
No, the defense got better like in the second half.
Oh, you're talking about the run they made in the second half of the season.
Yeah.
It wasn't last season, but it was the season before that. That's correct. That's correct. And it can happen. But right now,
well, Atlanta's coming out with a bias plus of 3. They went in with a net point bias of plus 3. Tampa Bay had the bias for net points of plus 3, and Atlanta had the turnover margin bias.
So that little
6.
turnover margin gave them
a 3
plus 3 for Atlanta.
3 for the bias plus for Atlanta. That's anybody's game.
That's anybody's game. And I am going to go out on a little limb here and say Famous Jameis comes back, starts his first game since coming off the suspension, and Tampa Bay goes in there and beats them boys because they can't stop nobody. It's going to be Jameis against Matt Ryan. They're going to light up the sky.
Well, like you said, both defenses stink, but Matt Ryan's having a career year. So
and Jameis is known for throwing picks. Yeah,
so you think Jameis is going to come in and outduel him?
Yeah. He had time to sit back, think about the errors of his ways, watch Fitzmagic, watch what that offense can do. If you play smart within that offense, those games it wasn't really magic for real. We just called him that. That offense worked well with him at the helm. Jameis can do that. Jameis is bigger, taller, stronger, faster, better arm. Come on. Why can't he make that work?
We shall see.
He has to cut down on the mistakes.
Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. Wow. Pittsburgh's coming in, ranked 11th in net points. Cincinnati's ranked 7th.
Big division rivalry.
Big division here. Pittsburgh has a net point bias of 3. Cincinnati has a turnover bias of 2, which gives the bias plus score to Pittsburgh 1. And we are in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I don't think Le'Veon's.
No, we're in
Cincinnati.
Right.
I don't think Le'Veon has he showed up yet. They said somewhere around between week 7 and 10. So
he has a certain time when he has to show up.
Yeah, I think it's by week 7 or before week 10.
Right. Exactly.
So if you got him on fantasy, hold on to him. He might do you some good at the end of the season. But for this one, I'm going to go with the home team.
Cincinnati.
Yeah.
All right.
Wait.
All right.
No, I'm not. I changed my mind. I'm taking Pittsburgh. I forgot. Juju's hot, and AB can't be covered.
And then, you know something.
And Connor just ripped off. Oh, what a game he had last week!
If they give him the ball, he's not a bad running back.
Not bad.
Yeah,
He's tremendous.
You know, if they just give him the ball. So I mean, that's about it. The Chargers visiting the Cleveland Browns. The Chargers are coming in 12th in net points ranking with 7 net points. The Browns are 16th with +1. The Chargers are 6th in scoring with 137 points scored. They're 22nd on defense, however. They've given up 130 points. They rank 6th in turnover margin with +3 in the turnover margin. Cleveland is very even in terms of their ranking. They're 16th, again, in net points, 17th in points scored. They've scored 114 points. They're 13th on defense. They've only given up 113. So they scored 114. They've given up 113. That gives them their net point of 1.
But
they're first
in
turnover margin with 8, +8.
And all that does
all season.
All that does for the bias plus is make it a 0.
It's a tie.
Now, at first glance, I started to look for my little intangibles, like the West Coast to East Coast thing. But Cleveland, Ohio is not really East Coast. So I'm going to make that a wash, even though it is a 1 o'clock game. Also, the Chargers are playing pretty well. And their defense may just be waking up. We'll have to keep an eye and see if they start to rise. So I like the Chargers in that.
All right. Seattle, Oakland. Let's see what we got here. Seattle, Oakland. The net point bias is going to Seattle with 44 net points. The turnover bias is going to Seattle with 10, which gives Seattle a bias plus score of 54 in their favor.
That's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I don't think
Seahawks going to take them out. Oakland is in disarray. This is going to be funny watching how they handle this Gruden thing. They gave him all that money, and I'm not blaming him. He might need to get a draft or 2 under his belt before they can really start to look at him funny. But they started to look at him funny. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Chicago, Miami. Chicago has a net point bias of 64 points and a turnover margin bias of 4, giving them a bias plus score of 68 in Chicago's favor.
Yeah, Miami's stumbling. Chicago's coming off the bye. I think we'll see a better Brandon Trubisky, and that defense is rested and dangerous.
They stumbled against the Patriots, who are getting their act together. I was surprised. I thought they would show better than they did.
I did too. That's why I said they stumbled.
Yeah.
I really thought they would show better. I didn't expect them to win, but they looked pretty bad.
You know, the interesting thing, we'll talk a little bit more about the Patriots coming up, but remember when I used to call Brady like the Wizard, and he had all the little gremlins running around? He's back to that. I mean, he's got his 2 backs. He's got White, and
he's got White, Sony Michel
coming out that backfield. He's got
Edelman.
Edelman's running all over. Of course, he's got Rob over there, and now
Amendola's gone, but he's got another guy,
Josh
Gordon.
No, who had one of the most amazing. I mean, he just split 2 guys.
He's just getting started. I'm telling you, please, in the words of Stephen A. Smith, stay off the weed. We want to see you play, man. We want to see how good you can be.
I mean, I was surprised. You know, you just don't know. And then he really showed up. Amazing. But Chicago has a bias plus of 68 points. Arizona, Minnesota. This is 2 interesting teams. Minnesota has the net point bias of 29 net points in their favor. Arizona has 2 and the turnover bias in their favor, which gives Minnesota 27, score 27 in the bias plus in their favor. Don't expect that that the Cardinals, you know, they beat up on my Niners a little bit.
This is a tricky game. This is a little trap game for Minnesota. Remember Buffalo went into the dome and did the do to them. They might get caught with their draws down again. You take a look at Arizona, a deep, close look, maybe even a little deeper than just their points against. Where are they at points against in our thing?
Arizona points against 12.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I'm telling you, man. You got to be careful.
Minnesota's 23rd.
Got to be careful. Their biggest problem is I don't think they know what kind of offense they want to run. They have David Johnson, who is a tremendous weapon, and they keep saying he's our best weapon. We have to get the ball in his hands more often, but they just won't do it. The offensive line is not a good run blocking line, but they're a decent pass blocking line. Throw the ball to him. Put him out wide. I mean, swing him out of the backfield. Dude, you got to get the ball in his hands. So their problem is offense, but defense, they're kind of all right. This could be a little tricky game, but I mean, I'm still going to pick Minnesota because I think that Cousins is getting more and more and more comfortable with Thielen and Diggs and Rudolph. He's got too many weapons. They're going to need Dalvin Cook to come back alive, though. And I know people that have Dalvin Cook in fantasy are kind of kicking themselves right now for picking him. But he's going to be around. He's going to be around.
All right. Now, Indianapolis and the Jets.
Oh, another, I don't know what to call it. It's intriguing, or I don't know what to call that game.
Well, this is going to be interesting. The Jets have the net point bias of 38 points, and they have a 2 turnover margin bias in their favor, giving the Jets a score bias plus score in their favor of 40. And
that's a lot. The Colts just really have nothing going for them, do they? Are they in the top half of any category?
Indianapolis is, well, they're 24th in net points with -20. They're 13th in scoring.
Okay.
With 118, but they're 27th in defense, giving up 138. They're 19th. They've only lost. They're only -1 in the turnover. The Jets are 8th in net points with 18. They're 11th in scoring with 123.
Sam Darnold.
And they're 10th on defense,
Ooh.
only giving up 105, 12th in the turnover margin with +1.
Jets ain't bad.
The Jets are not bad.
If they can hang in there, they have definitely saved their head coach's job because he was on the bit of a hot seat. So they've done that. They've played well. They've made the pick of Sam Darnold in the draft pay off. He looks like a real NFL quarterback. Of course, they still got some work to do. But I like the Jets at home. Against the Colts, I have to. I have no choice in that.
Okay. And they got the bias. They have the bias plus in their favor.
Yeah.
Carolina, Washington.
These are good games.
Yes, this one is going to come down to it. It's going to be about hitting. Carolina is 10th, ranks 10th in net points. They have +13. They're 22nd in scoring. A little surprised at how little they scored at 104. And points against, I think I have that backwards. They're 6th with 91. And they're in 5th place with +5 in turnover margin. Washington is ranked 18th with -4 net points, 29th in scoring with 83, and 5th in defense, 87.
That's right.
points.
That's right. The Skins. I was as you were saying it, I was thinking. I remember hearing we talked about the Skins early in this program. Yeah. Well, guess what? That tells me that this is going to be the kind of game that, on top of my head, I was thinking it was going to be. Carolina's like a ball control team. They're not a light up the scoreboard kind of team, and they got a good, strong defense. The Skins are living off their defense right now. Okay, keeping games close. Except for one gets away every now and then. It's Breeze. What are you gonna do? Breeze in the quest of a yardage record.
Do you know that there are people on Twitter saying that game was big?
Oh, stop it!
Yeah, they actually. And I'm gonna tell you something. There was a point in the game when there was a call. I forget what call it was. And I'm going, they're trying to help Breeze. I don't know. It is something that went through my mind. It's one of those calls, and I forget what it was.
Was it a call when they were trying to get the touchdown? Because he needed the touchdown to get 500.
It might have been
500 touchdown passes, and they ended up running it in, I think.
The one that got him over. Well, he didn't get the 500 touchdown.
No,
he got the
but he did try to pass
yardage
for the touchdown and couldn't get it.
And the guy who caught his record-breaking touchdown, that was his first score.
Yeah,
NFL score.
Isn't that amazing?
Your first score is Drew Brees' historic
record-breaking.
You know, and then you reach for the ball, and they're like, "No, give me that ball, buddy.
Yeah,
that's going in the Hall of Fame. You're not getting your hand on this ball. I can give you a fake one here. You can take home and we'll all sign it for you. But you weren't getting that ball. So, we got Washington. Carolina's got a bias plus of 21.
21's not a big bias plus. Carolina's coming off a nail biter against the Giants.
Washington's
home, but they're coming off a beating in the Superdome. I'm going to take Carolina on this one. I think they're feeling a little bit better about themselves than the Skins are.
Going with the bias. Buffalo, Houston. We talked a lot about Buffalo. Buffalo, let's take a look here. What's going on with Buffalo here? 32nd in net points with minus 55.
Yeah, lower than that.
32nd in scoring.
You're kidding me.
Points for with 63 points scored so far. However, Buffalo is 17th on defense. Hey, look, I'll give them. We got to give them that.
Still bottom half.
Yeah, and 10th in turnovers.
10th in turnovers.
Turnover margin.
Well, that's
+1.
Well, okay.
So they're
that'll work.
Right. Houston, 19th in net points with -9, 16th in scoring with 115. 18th in defense, giving up 124. That surprised me a little bit because I really kept thinking, okay, J.J. Watt's coming back. That defense now is going to really be tough.
Yeah, they're not as good as advertised.
And the 22nd in turnover margin was -1.
Yeah, the defensive backfield isn't so great. Right now, every time I think about Houston, all I can think about is some of those hellacious hits that Deshaun Watson's been taking. That's got to stop. He took a bad one.
Yeah, he's actually on an injury report. They actually have him as I think probable or something like that.
Yeah,
and then he said, "I'm built for this." Nobody's built for that. Nobody's built for that. And you are the franchise.
Mentally, you built for it.
Who was it that said, discretion is the better part of valor? Right. He needs to really understand that and take a look at that because without you, their season just tanks. You saw it last year. He goes out, season tanks.
And that's the difference. You see all these running quarterbacks and mobile quarterbacks. I hate to call them running quarterbacks, but mobile quarterbacks playing in college. And they look like they're so much better than everybody else on the field. When you come to the NFL, it all levels out. That all levels out, man. Now you got linebackers that weigh 250, 255 that can run almost as fast as you. And if they get the right angle, you're going to feel their wrath. Like, you got to be aware of that. You cannot run along the sidelines like a running back.
Take a look at the tape of Garoppolo, who had to make the dumbest decision of any highly paid quarterback in the league.
I just wish I could ask him, where were you going to cut back to?
Right.
When you plan it and cut back, where were you going to go? There's like 5 dudes coming at you from that direction.
Did he get a testosterone injection or something at that moment? Something shot up in his brain, but it made no sense. It really made no sense.
None at all.
And the season is, highly in question, if not done, as far as that's concerned.
But I'm gonna take Houston at home.
But Houston's got the bias plus of 44.
Yeah.
And as I said last week, we still don't know who Buffalo is.
Don't.
It's funny. It's Halloween's coming up. I can see, a Buffalo coming up to my door ringing the bell, and they got 3 different masks on them. It's like You take one mask off, you got another mask. You don't know if they're the
Like,
monster
yo,
or the
what
nice
are you?
guy. You know, you just don't know with them. But they do have one of the more. Speaking of mobile quarterbacks, their quarterback, he is athletic. I mean, this guy,
Josh Allen. Yeah.
He's athletic. Now.
Yeah.
He will go through it. So, you know, they might not be there this year, but you know, we'll see how they turn out as he gets a year under his belt. LA Rams, Denver. This is the first 3-digit buy plus that we've had this season.
I love it.
Rams are 106 net point bias favorites. They have that in their favor over Denver. And basically, you figure the Rams are first. They had 75 net points. Third in scoring with 173. Eighth in defense with 98 points allowed. And eighth in turnover margin with +2. Denver is 29th in net points with -31. 26th in scoring, only putting up 100 points. 24th in defense, they've given up 131. And 24th in turnover margin with -2. So, Denver's another team. I'm looking at the defense and I'm saying, okay, defensively, they should keep these, you know, stay in the games. Case Keenum is, you know, again, one of those B quarterbacks. But, you know, if he makes good decisions, you know, and he gets the ball out of his hands, they can be competitive.
They have skill players. They're kind of like the Giants. They got skill players on offense. They don't have a great offensive line. So protection is shaky for the quarterback. They seem to be better run blockers, though. Their running game's going pretty good. They got 2 rookie running backs that are making some hay. Okay. But, yeah, their defense is kind of shit.
So, you know, going to Rams, got to go with the Rams. Even, and only one of their cornerbacks came back so far?
I don't think either one of them is back.
Neither one of them is back?
No,
and they did pretty, you know, they did okay. I mean, the Seattle, my sleeper team, you know, gave them help. But again, that's a division game. Yeah. Those games are always crazy. Yeah. Jacksonville, the Jaguars are going to go visit Dallas Cowboys. Jacksonville's coming in with a net point bias of 29 in their favor. Dallas has the turnover margin bias of 5 in their favor, which is a little surprising. But Jacksonville has a net point plus score of 24.
I think Jacksonville is going to go into Jerry World and go Cowboys out.
Did you?
Mr. Blake Jekyll and Hyde Bortles.
You saw him play last week,
He's going to go,
right?
Did you see him play the week before? For like 365 and 4 touchdowns. He might have had 6 touchdowns. I can look it up. Mr. Jekyll and Hyde is going to go in there and blow Cowboys out. Trust me.
Cowboys are 21st in net points with -13, 30th in scoring with 83 points, but 7th in defense. They've only given up 96 points.
Okay.
Jacksonville is 4th in defense. They've given up 86 points, but they're 25th in scoring with 102 points. So I don't see blowouts. I see a game here.
You see a game?
You see a blowout.
I see a blowout because both of these teams have shown that when things start going bad, they go completely bad.
So you think that it's going that bad for the Cowboys?
It's going to go so bad for the Cowboys. No, this game is going to start to spiral out of control for the Cowboys. They will have no answer on offense. They won't be able to run Zeke all night because he's coming from behind. And they don't have the kind of receivers that can make the plays they need to come from behind.
So you're really looking for, I don't know, who's a good guy, Jekyll?
Yeah, Dr. Jekyll. He's going to be Dr. Jekyll.
He's going to be Dr. Jekyll.
Not Mr. Hyde. He was Mr. Hyde last week.
Okay. All right. You had a good week last week, so I'll have to leave you alone.
He played last week, 430 yards passing. 430.
Woo! We're going to talk a little bit about that because it's going to be part of my land. I'm going to hold it.
Oh, okay.
All right. Where are we? Baltimore, Tennessee. let's look at what's going on here.
Two
Baltimore.
pretty tough defenses.
They're both 3-2. Baltimore again is second in net points with plus 55, ninth in scoring with 132, and second on defense with 77. They only have -1 in the turnover margin. Tennessee 14th in net points with 1, 28th in scoring, just 87 points. But third defensively with 86 points, and again also -1. So there's a tie there.
Yes.
Yeah, in terms of the turnover bias, they both are -1.
The turnover bias is a tie.
Yeah,
Okay. And you know what? When you talk about their defenses being good, now, well, they're supposed to have a good defense. Oh, they're pretty good defense. But there's something that's not quite. That's what it is. They're not turning the ball over. They're playing tough. They're keeping scores down for the most part.
Okay.
They've both taken a couple bad losses.
Right.
But for the most part, they're keeping scores down. But they're not really turning the ball back over to their offense.
Neither team.
And neither team. And if they were to do that, it might have translated to another win, possibly 2 for both teams. This is going to be a struggle. It's in Tennessee. You play outdoors. That won't bother the Ravens. Man. Is that a night game? That's a day game? I'm trying to think of a reason that, because I want to pick Baltimore.
It looks like the night game.
It's a 4:25 game, so nothing there. It's in Tennessee. They're an hour. That's basically a day game. I'm going to take Tennessee.
Oh, you're
going against the
bias.
bias.
A 54. Bias plus a 54. He goes against. Man. Okay. All right, sir.
Mariota's getting his feet under him now. He's
I don't know if you would call the next game the intriguing game of the week. I think most people are super intrigued at looking. This is the young gun versus the GOAT. So this would be the Sunday night game, right? Kansas City going into the New England Patriots Stadium. Kansas City has a net point bias of 21 points and a turnover margin bias of 4 points, giving them a bias plus score in the Kansas City favor of 25 points. It meant nothing last week as far as Miami was concerned, but Miami and Kansas City are two completely different offenses.
Absolutely.
Ability to score. So it looks like Kansas City, but at this point, I'm thinking the Patriots might be bias killers.
I mean, they're home. They look like all systems go on offense. Defensively, they're still trying to win by scheme because they just don't have the talent.
Well, wait a minute now. Kansas City is 20th in points against with 129.
Yeah.
The Patriots are 11th. They've only given up 108.
Okay.
So their defense isn't as bad as, we might, they haven't really been blown out. They've lost games, but they haven't been blown out of anything. And we've seen their defense,
they're out scheming, but they don't have the talent. These games that they're losing, they should be winning those games. If they had talent at those positions, they would win those games.
Didn't we say the same
guys
thing last year?
Played.
And then they wound up in the Super Bowl?
No,
of course, they gave up a ton of. Their defense was sticky last year.
Their secondary was not playing. Their whole defense was not playing well, and they did the old Atlanta Falcons climb up the ladder as we went down. So that still remains to be seen. But right now, today, they just don't seem to have the actual one-on-one, I can win my battle type talent.
Now, Belichick is known for taking away what you do best.
Right. No doubt.
Kansas City does a lot of things really good.
A lot of things really well.
The thing that I would say that if you're going to take something away, just like Kansas City is probably trying to figure out how to take Gronk out, the Patriots are going to do something with that Kelsey guy. He's getting loose, and he's becoming that go-to guy. That when things are tough, you can look for him.
Yeah, at this point, it's very arguable as to which one of them is the best tight end in the league.
I'm hearing people say Kelsey, believe it
A
or
lot
not.
of people are saying Kelsey. Of course, that's on the strength of Mahomes too. You know what I mean? But when you really think about it, maybe Alex Smith was the only thing that was keeping number 2.
Yeah.
Maybe not totally Alex Smith's fault, because I like Alex Smith. But I think Andy did.
Why
what
would
he
you
could
say
with
he's
what he
better
had.
than Gronk, though, at this point?
Younger, he's had less injuries. Gronk's banged up. He's
But
playing.
Gronk
Gronk plays through a lot.
For the first 5 games, Gronk has faced double and triple team.
Yeah.
You know, and while the Patriots were trying to figure out, you know, the rest of their offensive
Right,
personnel.
because they don't fear Hogan and them other guys, but they got
Now-
Josh Gordon now.
Now
It's
that
different
things are
now.
starting to even out, he's going to see a little less of that.
He'll get more targets and he'll make more plays. That's true, but I'm talking about individuals.
Okay.
Kelsey versus Gronk. I would take Kelsey because he's younger, he's less beat up. Same skill set, probably a little bit faster.
Same size.
Basically,
little
I
bit
think they're the
smaller.
same height,
Really?
but Gronk's got a little bit more mass on him. I have to actually look that up.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. All right. But that is going to be that's probably going to be my intriguing game that I'll write up.
It's hard to get.
Well, that's a
go
Sunday
against
night
the
game, so we get
Patriots.
to write up anyway.
Oh yeah,
So-
it's hard to go against the Patriots at home against anybody. I think maybe Gostkowski wins this one.
Okay. All right. Funny you say that because Cam.
Yeah,
Did you hear Cam's quote? Cam's quote. He said, "I heard somewhere that a kicker is a quarterback's best friend."
yeah. He bails you out. He finishes that drive that you couldn't finish.
But you couldn't finish.
That's
yeah.
right. That's
Kicker is, and you know, I'm gonna keep that as a quote. I thought that
That's
was
a good quote.
great quote. Because I always remember, especially with the Eagles, you know, we're in Philadelphia, so you know, we get exposed to that.
Mm-hmm.
And when they would list the scorers for the Eagles, the kicker was always in first place. He was the number 1 scorer on the team. So
Those 1s and 3s add up.
those 1s and 3s add up. All right, Monday night, my beloved Niners go up against Green Bay Packers
Good luck, bro.
in Green Bay. Green Bay has a 29-point net point bias, 6 turnover margin bias, giving them a bias plus score in Green Bay's favor of 35. My Niners. 27th in net points with minus 28. 12th in scoring, but most of that was probably under Garoppolo. 30th defensively, and that's really what that's hurting my heart.
Yeah.
Green Bay is 15th in net points with +1, 15th in scoring with 115, and 14th in defense with 114, and 25th in turnover margin with -2. But look, they're +1 and we're -28. So
Yeah.
what can I tell you?
There was a. First of all, you had Aaron Rodgers a little banged up, so he's trying to play through this calf thing or whatever. Hopefully, if they manage him right during the week, that gets a little bit better and better. They're going through a little transition with their running back situation. They started with Jamal Williams, now they're kind of phasing him out. They're working Ty Montgomery on the passing downs, but they're trying to make Aaron Jones the #1 guy. Then just when that starts to be ironing itself out, Geronimo Allison, who was having a great year, starting out, goes down with a concussion. Who steps in? Valdez! Valdez Scantling had a great game last week in his stead, and Devontae Adams was able to play through a hamstring. So stuff is starting to really line up for the Packers.
And
Randall
Breed-
Cobb
Breed is out.
on his way out.
Our number
Your
1 rusher.
most dynamic rusher is out.
Right, he's out.
So now you're leaning on Alfred Morris, and you're trying to have your defense keep the game close so that you can still have a good run-pass ratio and not have to lean too much. Although your tight end Kittle had a nice game last week, and I have him on some fantasy teams. I like to see him have a nice game.
I like Kittle and Mostert for the Niners. Another speedy back that hasn't really gotten a lot of
Right.
play.
Right.
Remember when we were talking last week about, who you would put back to return kicks.
Yeah.
That's who I have returning on my kicks.
Oh, okay. Wait a minute. Monster?
MOST.
Fullback or something?
No. That's Juszczyk.
Juszczyk is the fullback.
Juszczyk. Who's still there?
What?
Who's still
you said
there?
Monster plays for the Packers.
No.
Oh,
for the
I'm
Niners.
sorry.
For the
I'm
Niners.
sorry.
For the Niners, yeah.
Okay.
And it hasn't gotten a lot of run
Okay.
with Breida, but
He's a speed back.
He's a fast guy, and he's got a little bit of power, so you might see him a little bit.
All right.
I would like to see him,
right.
get a chance. And it's funny, in my Madden time playing with the Niners, the things that I've had to do with this quarterback is, number one, run more of a power game.
Yep.
Shorter, quicker passes, and then take your shots when they're downfield when you're there. He doesn't have that velocity that Garoppolo has.
Right.
So your deep passes you got to be careful with. He's not as accurate, but if he utilizes his pocket, gets rid of the ball, keeps it short and crisp. Matter of fact, it was funny. I was watching Brady, and Brady, it's amazing. It's almost like a boxer where you jab, and then you hit him, because he, first down, he might not run it, but it's that quick pass, and it's now 2nd and 4, and he's really good at that.
Right.
So we're going to have to follow a little bit more of that and get that ball out, use those backs, throw the ball to the backs, and I'm not sure how Goodwin is Marquise. Is he?
I would have to really look him up real quick. I haven't heard any updates.
Yeah.
Usually, if you don't hear an update, that's not good. Because usually, if they're on the way back, they'll let you know.
All right, we'll worry about that later, because you never know. These guys, they don't tell you anything till practically game day anyway. Everybody's holding their cards, as well they should. So that's not a big problem. So this wraps up the matchup portion of the Ben and Barry on Football show. And Ben, you have a little something special prepared. You want to do that now?
Yeah, it's no big deal.
So we go into our social media and finish up with the rants.
Yeah, last week we had a situation where 2 rookie quarterbacks were about to start their first games. We've seen them in the preseason. We've seen them come up in some mop-up duty earlier in the season. So last week they both had their first starts, and I reported on what they did. They both lost, but they both played well. They both threw the ball for good yards. They both scored, had passing touchdowns. Well, on their second starts, they both won. And we're talking about Josh Rosen for the Cardinals. He was only 10 of 25. It was not a stellar game. He was 10 of 25, only 170 passing yards, 1 touchdown, but it was against the 49ers. He did just enough, plus that surprising defense that we talked about, and they won the game. The other guy was Baker Mayfield. Much better game, statistically. 25-43, 342 yards. Nice fantasy game. 1 touchdown. That was versus the Ravens. A little surprising, because Ravens and Browns is a rivalry game. It's a division matchup. I think the Ravens had to go to Cleveland, though. And Baker's playing with a lot of confidence.
And
some people are saying Baker Mayfield is the next Drew Brees. I'm not saying it.
Because he's short.
It's basically
because he's short and he's accurate.
He's short and he's accurate.
Yeah.
Which don't always go together. But
and again, a kicker is a quarterback's best friend.
Again.
Even when that ball barely gets over the crossbar.
That's right.
I mean, that ball looked like a duck.
That's right.
But hey, you got it done, and congratulations to them. So as we wrap up the matchup portion and Ben's piece on there, we're going to quickly share our social media. Let's see here. I keep doing that. Why do I keep doing that? I'm going to share this. All right, that's what I'm going to share. All right, so we've already visited the Sterling NetPoint Power Rankings. Again, you can find us on Facebook. This is the public page, so you don't actually have to have a Facebook account to be able to see the information that we post on the Sterling NetPoint Power Ranking. And we do put some other information up. Also, we have our Ben and Barry page. Let's go up this information right here. And that's Ben and Barry on football on Facebook. This is what I kind of wanted to mention here. And I don't know if this is kind of not exactly a rant, but I did mention last week, I think it was, that it's as if, well, I wondered if the scoring was going to be different this year. If there was going to be more scoring because of the new rules.
Oh, okay.
And, you know, it's amazing, but Richard Sherman brought it up. He said that the quarterback rating now is at a point where normally that rating is Hall of Fame level. Okay? And that there's been more yardage this year to this point than any other year in history. So it does look as if what the NFL wanted, which was, I guess, A, to protect the quarterback, would be more scoring, is actually happening. I have to go back now and take a look at Netflix and see in the points for and see you know how that's turning out in terms of that. Also, you mentioned last week that Drew Brees had a really amazing workout video that you could go in. And I did actually go to YouTube, take a look at this, and I shared it on Facebook. So you can go to Ben and Barry on football on Facebook and take a look at the workout that Drew Brees does, and that's how you get to here.
That's the case they're going to put in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's nice.
All the stuff. So we share all of that good information on Ben and Barry on football. And we have a Twitter page, which, you know, we actually, I think we're doing a good job. Ben, look at that number.
Oh, man, that's great.
We've had over 1,000 likes on our Twitter page at this point.
That's nice.
And we're amazing considering we only got 29 followers.
Yeah, but we're really following some really great people.
Oh, yeah.
We're following some great people that are doing some amazing things and have some amazing information that you put on here. So
that they're really sharing. Yeah. So and then last but not least, if you actually go to our website, benandbarryonfootball.com, it will take you directly to the YouTube page where these videos are all available for you to take a look at. So that's Ben and Barry on football. Well, that's all for me. I don't have much of a rant beyond the fact that there's a lot of scoring going on with these new rules. You said you might have a rant?
Yeah, I might have a rant, but I'm going to say I don't because, again, I've decided to kind of lay off certain fans of certain teams out here, so I'm going to let it be. But please, if you are an Eagles fan, please, well, I don't have to ask you to make sure that you watch that game. It's Thursday night. Nothing else be going on, okay? Guys can try to build this rivalry up as big as you want to, but it already is what it is. If the Giants win, notice I didn't say when the Giants win. We're not great up now. If the Giants win, don't bombard me with a lot of nonsense. That's all. Because if
Who are you talking to? Eagle fans?
Yeah, I'm talking to Eagle fans.
Oh, okay.
Don't. If the Giants win, I don't want to hear it. I don't. If the Eagles win, I'm not going to say a word.
No,
I'm not. It's going to be a good game. It's a division rivalry. It's two teams trying to get their legs under them. That's all. This is the new Ben.
Okay, new Ben. So real quick, you called me and you said, because you know Ben also coaches in Philadelphia in the PTTF.
Oh no!
He told me that we beat your son this Sunday, but I haven't talked to him about the game. But do you have anything that you guys did special that got you through the you know?
No, I wouldn't say we did anything special. We practiced.
That helps.
And no, the guys just came together. They played well. This has kind of been building. Got a nice veteran core on my team. This is the Seminoles that I'm talking about in the PTTFL.
Here in Philly.
And we're doing well offensively and defensively and special teams wise, which is kind of kind of not really emphasized in a flag football league, but we're trying to cover all phases of the game, and it seems to be working out pretty well for us. So I'm just happy about that.
Awesome. So when you come to Ben and Baron football, you'll hear Madden stuff, you'll hear NFL stuff, you'll hear flag football stuff, fantasy stuff. So we try to cover a little bit of it all, and because we just love football. However it comes, we love it. So that's all for me.
That's all for me.
All right. Everybody have a great week. See you next week.
Go Noles.